We're back here with the Baal HaSulam's Matan Torah with commentary by Rabbi Avraham, Morechai, Gottlieb, who I'll be referring to as the Rebbe Shlita. We are on page 76 in section 8. This is our 10th class. If you've made it this far, thank you so much. I hope you've been enjoying it, and I hope you've been sharing it with others who you think would also enjoy this amazing Torah. So the bullet points that start off this section is, the receiver feels shame when receiving a free gift. As well as, you can never completely fulfill the wants of other people, for you cannot give them a sense of independent acquisition. And finally, God's perfection requires that He give without causing shame. So God gave us a sense of independent acquisition by means of our actions in Torah and mitzvot. We're essentially speaking about the bread of shame, and as to why we need Torah and mitzvot. Why do we need this refinement whatsoever is what we were touching on in the last class. So now we're going to clarify it just a little bit. We're going to go on for a while in the next couple sections and get into the depths of this amazing book. So, the Baal HaSulam begins. This idea is like the story of a certain rich man who picks up someone off the street and gives him food and drink and showers him with silver and gold and all manner of delights every day. Day after day, his gifts are greater than the day before. After some time, the rich man asks him, "Tell me, have all your wishes been fulfilled?" He replies, "Not all my desires have been fulfilled. For how good and pleasant it would be if all these possessions and precious things came to me through my own industry as they came to you. And I would not be receiving your gift as charity." Then the rich man told him, "In that case, there is yet to be a person born who could fulfill your wishes." This is quite natural. On the one hand, he experiences greater and greater pleasures as his gifts increase each time. On the other hand, it's hard for him to bear the shame from the abundant beneficence that the rich man increasingly bestows upon him. For it's a natural law that the receiver feels a sort of shame and discomfort when he gets a free gift from one who gives him out of kindness and pity. From this follows a second principle, that it's unimaginable that we can completely fulfill the wants of another, as in the end, we cannot give the other the character and form of independent acquisition, and only this could complete the contentment derived from receiving everything that is desired. In a similar light, since we've been speaking so much about these notions of the desire to receive and the desire to give, I think it's important to note the culture and the overall consciousness of the Jewish people today. Whether we are in our rabbinic colleges or sister colleges, so to speak, institutions of Torah learning for men and women, particularly those that come back to their roots and want to learn and discover what it is that Judaism is really about. And these are amazing institutions, and they provide great stepping stones for so many people, as I was one of them. But the consciousness within these institutions, for the most part, and there's lights of hope in the sections of the Balei Tshuva sections, those who return to their roots. But so much of it is what we can acquire. And it's understandable that that's how we start, because we have a principle from our sages, from Chazal, that from lo lishma to lishma. So if you want to attract someone to Judaism, talk about the amazing rewards and all that is to come. And that's good if it's met at some point with the real goal, the intended purpose of the Torah and mitzvot to reach the state of giving and godliness. So unfortunately, Klal Yisrael has experienced a terrible tragedy last week in Meron on Lag BaOmer during a minor holiday that has the light of a great one, celebrating the life and work of Rebbe Shimon Bar Yochai, a great Tana, really a sage. He is part of Chazal. Passed away on this day. I was actually born on the same day. And on this day, so many go up as in a pilgrimage to celebrate with dancing and bonfires in the city of Meron, close to the holy city of Tzfat. And 45 people perished. And I wish all of those families peace and unity amongst each other. And may the souls that were lost have the highest aliyos, the highest elevations. Could be that the 45 people that passed away, considering everything is from the Creator, like anything is a message. As 45 is the gematria, it's the same numerical value as Adam, man. Every person is a spiritual world, all the more so 45. And the case, though I don't know all the details, and there seems to be confusion in terms of reports, I don't know exactly what happened. But seems like to some degree there were Jews killing Jews. And that's cosmically an incomprehensibly terrible thing. The point is that those who went up there, for the most part, myself included when I went there 2 years ago, but the culture is the segulas, the treasures, the things that can be earned nearly for free. And there's many of these things in Judaism. Go to this place, do this thing, learn this particular section, and it's a segula to manifest this type of bracha, this type of blessing in your life, so on and so forth. So the mode of consciousness that people have when they go on these trips, on these pilgrimages, is to receive. They want a certain thing in life, and that's natural. I'm not belittling the notion of people wanting to receive anything, because that is our chomer, that's our absolute raw material of a being. But if it's not met with the consciousness of at least some idea of I'm receiving this in order to bestow, as high as that is, but at least the idea that that's what we're aiming for, then we're going the other direction. I've heard the Rebbe to say a lot on this topic in this past week, and it's important, very, very important, to clarify the absolute necessity it is to learn the inner dimensions of the Torah. That way we can refine ourselves so that we won't feel any shame in our receiving. We can finally correct our vessels and be able to receive in order to give. But unfortunately, it's not important for us. The Shekhinah is in the dust, so to speak. Our collective soul is sleeping. It's more important for us to go get a good steak, or go learn other things that are interesting and the information stimulates our mind, and we can work on our critical thinking skills via the Talmud, or learn just plain information on how to live our lives practically with the body of Jewish law, halacha. But it's not being met with the intention as to why and what we're really aiming for. Life is a journey. And the end of the map is the Creator. Dvekas, as we've been speaking about, oneness. So it makes sense that to get to the end destination, which is our purpose, is that we would need the map. Pnimius Torah, the inner dimensions of Torah and the Kabbalah, is that map. It's an exacting map on how to get from point Aleph to Tav, from A to Z, from beginning to end. If we were to just stick with the revealed portions of the Torah, though they are mapped to a degree, it's like getting a partial map. It's like getting just a snapshot from Google Maps or Waze, as opposed to the whole thing that we're looking for, which is a long, beautiful journey. So it'd be logical to say that to get to where we need to be, we need the whole system, not a partial one. We need a balanced diet. So for those who feel inspired to start up a conversation, speak to those who care and are also interested in the inner dimensions of Torah, and try to branch out, because it's oh so important. And the pleasure that we're seeking in return in regards to receiving, in regards to these segulas, in essence, is the desire and pleasure of children. An adult, a mature pleasure is to give and to do the work and to serve the Creator. And the pleasure of children, I myself being a huge child, I myself also not being perfect by any means, very much in this mode of consciousness most of the time, but Baruch Hashem, there's some awareness of where we're going, hopefully. So let's work on it. Sorry for the digression, but it's a time-sensitive manner. This has just been happening, and it's ultimately relevant to whoever's listening and enjoying this series up until now, because we are learning to some degree Pnimius Torah. And we're speaking about the importance of elevating our consciousness. Even this book is called Giving, the essential teaching of the Kabbalah. Tov. Hopefully we can continue and grow and connect to the consciousness of Rebbe Shimon Bar Yochai via learning the Zohar and learning other branches of Pnimius Torah, and not just trying to get some free blessing, so to speak. It requires toiling, which we're going to get into. The Rebbe Shlita says on the Baal HaSulam's comment, so, although we can give a free gift of the best of all material goods, there's no way we can give the recipient a feeling that he or she has earned the gift and deserves it by virtue of his or her work. We find in the laws of charity that the most praiseworthy charity is when the giver does not know the identity of the receiver, and the receiver does not know who the giver is. In this way, our sages arrange that shame should be reduced to a minimum. However, this tactic does not completely eliminate the hurt of shame, for the poor person still knows that he or she is receiving. Even if the poor person doesn't know who the benefactor is, just the feeling of being in need of others suffices to create an inner sense of shame. But there is no other option. It's impossible not to give at all. The giver must be trained to give, and the receiver needs the help. So our sages reduced to a minimum the shame in receiving charity. But this would not, so to speak, be a solution for God's gift to his creation. For God's giving must be with perfection. Therefore, God gave us the toil involved in Torah and mitzvot, which makes the reward received for spiritual work appear to be the result only of independent acquisition. In this way, shame is eliminated completely. Here is a wondrous thing. For what our body calls toil in nature and in Torah and mitzvot is actually designed for our benefit. And we have no reason to complain about this, but rather we should thank God for it. We spoke about this in the last class, the notion that toiling today, similar to the conversation we just had regarding receiving and giving and people's consciousness being, I want to receive such and such blessing from such and such action, which is, again, totally normal. But to contemplate the cost-benefit of schlepping to some faraway place in order to receive such and such blessing, as opposed to spending that time and just doing chesed, doing charity that's tangible, boots on the ground, or learning Torah, which is also a form of receiving. Because when we're learning, we're receiving wisdom, but we're hopefully learning with the intention to put it into practice, to integrate it, and to even teach it. Meaning, we're receiving the Torah that we're learning in order to give it. So true toiling is trying to give. I heard this notion recently on Shabbat. We were learning a mimer in this community, in the beautiful city of Telstone. For those in Israel who'd like to come and visit, please do. We're always welcoming guests. Just contact us ahead of time. And in the class, we're speaking about the notion of laziness. It's an amazing idea. Laziness, as with anything in our inner work, is relating to the dynamic of receiving and giving. Meaning, I could have zrizus, I could have great alacrity, I can run everywhere and do so much, and it could still all be for me. So even though on a surface level, physically, I might be acting as a non-lazy person, but spiritually, I'm still very lazy because all of it could be for my own benefit. So we're lazy to do things for others, to do acts of giving, to put in the real spiritual work. Speaking for myself, I'm very lazy. That's toil. So toiling in Torah is this as well, and being able to integrate it. So as opposed to thinking to oneself, Talmud Torah keneged kulam. Learning Torah is the most important thing in the world, and it can be, most definitely. But if someone comes up to you and asks you for help while you're learning Torah, the answer is not to say, I'm learning Torah. I can't help you right now. The real thing is that I'm in a mode of consciousness of receiving this Torah because I'm learning it. So I'm going to close the book and rather I'm going to give to you. That's the ideal. Why? Avraham Avinu, Abraham the patriarch, stopped his conversation with the Creator himself in order to serve and to help, to give hospitality to his guests, to the nomads that he saw outside his tent. And we should learn from that even when we're experiencing direct revelation from the Creator, and we experience that tangibly today through learning his Torah and connecting to his essence, by closing the book and helping another person. That can be toil. It all depends on our attention. The Baal HaSulam finishes. Of course, the above applies only to created beings and not in any way to the complete perfection of God. And this explains why God has prepared for us the means to bring forth our exaltedness ourselves by way of toil and overcoming difficulties, and by way of occupying ourselves with Torah and mitzvot. In that way, all the pleasure and delight that we receive from God, meaning everything included in our cleaving to God, will have the character of independent acquisition by means of our own actions. Then we will feel ourselves as the owners, without which there cannot be an experience of completion, as has been explained. And suddenly it's understandable how something that could, in theory, cause us the most shame that we could possibly imagine, being the internal reward of Gan Eden, of heaven, of enlightenment. Many names we can call it, but essentially the afterlife, or the true life. This is an illusion relative to the true life of being unified in adhesion with the Creator, with Hashem, the Vekas. Perfection in itself, not perfection relative to the 6,000 years of correction, as we've spoken about in a prior class. To earn eternity for a measly 70, 80 years of life, God willing 120 for all of us. Makes no sense. That would be, it sounds like infinite shame. Sounds like hell. But it doesn't matter if it takes someone 20 years, 36 years, 40 years, or 120 years. If a person makes their tikkun, if they finally transmute and correct their vessels of receiving in order so that they can finally receive in order to give, then they've eliminated all shame. And then we can contemplate the wondrous miracle that is receiving infinite light of Hashem in oneness with Him in order to give to Him. We'd be receiving and giving at the same time. There'd be no shame. It's mind-boggling, and it's awe-inspiring. And we can merit to reach this level, each and every one of us, not just scholars and not just the elite by any means, each and every person on this planet. That is their inheritance. The promise to them is that they can have unity and oneness and consciousness and eternity with the Creator. And not wait till it's over. Rather, achieve it while we're alive in this lifetime. Let's see if there's any comments. I'm still new to this, checking the YouTube live. Maybe I missed earlier ones. I don't know. I think we're okay. Tov, thanks for tuning in. Thank you for watching. All the best. And please don't forget, have a balanced diet and connect to all types of Torah, because an extreme side on one way is just as bad as the other. We need body and soul. We need the inner part and the outer part. And this way we can slowly but surely come to the redemption. May it be speedily and soon. All the best.